Right now, as I speak, world bismuth reserve sits at 320,000 tons. So there are 2,000 pounds in a ton. That's how many pounds of bismuth that is. To put that into perspective, this is roughly 1 pound of bismuth right here. There's about 2 of these for every American, and not even a tenth of one of these for everybody in the world. And that's how rare bismuth is, right? To put that into comparison, I think there's about 3 ounces of silver for every person on the planet. I think there's about half an ounce of gold for every person on the planet. Keep in mind that in a lot of low-income countries, that's completely out of reach, right? Even in some of the poorer countries, this is still well within reach, right? A few days worth of income, right? Compared to the silver or the gold or the other metals that people tend to think of investing in, right? Imagine if any one of those poorer countries decided to use bismuth for barter, especially a country that's already producing a lot of bismuth. Just try to imagine what the price level would have to go to, right? Now, another thing I thought about today was we have, 320,000 tons, or 640 million pounds. Now, bismuth is actually slightly radioactive. It has a half-life of 1.9 times 10 to the 19th years. And so I wondered how much of the world's bismuth will decay in a year. Pretend we went to a bismuth stander and all of this went into Fort Knox and sat there, and some of it will decay over time, right? So let's give it a year. So we divide that by 1.9 times 10 to the power of 19. And so in a year, that many pounds, or if we multiply by 454 to get how many grams of bismuth, so 1.5 times 10 to the negative 8 grams, right? So about 15 nanograms of bismuth will decay out of the entire world's supply of bismuth, right? Think about that. It would be, Fort Knox holds about 8,000 tons of gold, so, well, I guess bismuth would take up even more space because it's only half as dense. So think of Fort Knox as holding 4,000 tons of bismuth. You would still need quite a number of Fort Knoxes to hold all of the world's bismuth, and only 15 nanograms of that is going to decay, right? Now, but that's 1 year, right? How about if the dinosaurs had used bismuth as their currency and they had their own little Fort Knox, ignoring all the chemical damage that would happen to bismuth over 65 million years, right? Because bismuth isn't gold in terms of chemical stability, obviously. Let's just see how much decays in a nuclear sense. So multiply that by 65 million. So in the time since the dinosaurs, all of that bismuth, remember, 100 Fort Knox's worth, right? Out of all that, only 1 gram would have decayed. Now, how about if we take that one, go back one. I want to go back to this number. All right, just divide that by 65 million again. This was how much was going to decay in 1 year. How about since the Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago, right? All the world's bismuth, 68 grams. Now, I often wonder, when I melt the bismuth and make crystals out of it, what happens to all those decay products? Because I wonder if, in a sense of by melting them, I have purified the bismuth. Now, the main decay product is thallium, which is very easy to oxidize. So I would imagine the day I melt them, I probably didn't carry any of the thallium back into the crystal, right? It probably got left behind in the slag. Now, bismuth sometimes also gets activated by background neutrons and becomes polonium, but polonium is very volatile, right? If you recall, 20 years ago, there was a Russian spy that was poisoned by polonium, and they left a trail of toxic polonium in the hotel that they were in. So I would imagine when I'm heating up the bismuth to melt it, the polonium would probably volatilize away, right? Now, thallium also potentially decays into gold and then mercury and then platinum and then back to gold, and then I would imagine the heating up the pot that I heated probably not hot enough to melt either gold or platinum, but the mercury that was present on the day I melt them would have probably volatilized away. So I would imagine in the process of making the pyramid, I purified it on the day that whatever state it is in, but then it started to decay again, right? So you could probably tell how long that pyramid has been there.